All right, despite all the division and outbursts at Trump's address, there was at least one moment where nearly everyone was in agreement.
Let's also ensure that members of Congress cannot corruptly profit from using insider information. Did Nancy Pelosi stand up if she's here? Doubt it. Pass the Stop Insider Trading Act without delay.
While there may have been applause in the room, politicians on both sides of the aisle have been using their positions to outperform the stock markets by huge margins conveniently. Joining us now, the man who helped bring this issue to the forefront, Chris Joseph, founder of the Nancy Pelosi Stock Tracker. So Chris, I want to get your response to the president calling Nancy Pelosi out by name. Of course, she's not the only one engaging in this practice, but what did you make of that given your work on this issue?
I found it pretty ironic. I mean, to give Trump credit, he's the first president that has ever actually called for a ban in congressional stock trading, especially at, a State of the Union in front of all of America to see. But of course, he had to kind of take a little bit of a jab at the queen herself, Nancy Pelosi. She's the one best known for it. She's the one kind of that has brought the entire issue to the public eye. And yes, she is not the only one doing it, but I think if we can continue with this momentum and kind of like continue calling her out, continue calling out the other politicians that we see, we actually can get a ban passed. And that is kind of what we do. And that's why I started it to begin with.
So for those who may not be familiar, what exactly would the ban be on? Why does there need to be a ban? And what are members of Congress doing that means they're making more money than the average person? Do they have insider information, for example?
That's the question. So back in 2020, actually, I'm not a political guy. I wasn't really studying this, but I was just a finance guy. I realized that politicians are actually allowed to trade stocks. And while average Americans, news people, finance people, they can't trade individual stocks. Meanwhile, politicians are allowed to do it. Before 2009, they weren't even allowed. They didn't have to publicly share anything. The ban, what it would happen and why Trump wants to get after it is because people think they're insider trading and they're doing it right before our very eyes. They're trading stocks that they probably shouldn't be allowed to do. Laws are passing, bills are kind of being enacted by committees they sit on, and they're benefiting the stocks that they're buying. He wants to ban it, and he wants to kind of do it in a way that I think is probably the most reasonable one we've seen to date. He would ban individual trading. They would still be allowed to buy broader ETFs. They would still be allowed to have broader blind trusts, and they would just not have to be able to trade individual stocks. It's not that complex. It's not that complicated. A lot of Americans already do it. The politicians should just follow suit and have that be their law as well.
Yeah, leveling the playing field. It seems like there's bipartisan support for a congressional stock trading ban, but there's also bipartisan opposition of it. So why do you think we haven't seen this kind of legislation pass, or at least be thoroughly debated in Washington?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think like the thing that you're getting at is we've heard these bills for years. Like there's been bills, people have talked about getting them passed. This is the first one that the GOP actually backs. Now, AOC, Elizabeth Warren, and the Democrats, they actually don't support the bill that he wants passed because, one, they want politicians to divest completely out of their own investments. So if they were to be a politician on January 1st, they would have to divest out of all their stocks. That's what the Democrats want. The Republicans don't want that. The Democrats also want this new law, the Stop Insider Trading Act, to also cover the president and the VP. The GOP one does not include the president and the VP. And that is where we think the biggest divide is going to happen. And this is why also I don't know if it will pass. It's going to go back and forth. And on top of that, we got midterms coming up. If it flips to the Democrats, who knows what will happen.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.